Hello, and welcome back to Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm Captain Killer, and this is part 103 of my playthrough as Alexios. During the exploration episode, I found the Inside of War here, and recently I noticed two other locations on the map, here and here, similarly at the edge of the map. In case they are all Keeper's Insights, I'm going to start this episode by collecting them. I'm already at the Inside of War, so we're going to do this one first and make our way around the ring. This location is already larger than I expected it to be. That's what I thought.
Got to be careful not to get spotted.
What the gods was that? What?
This is a very good start. Excuse me. There we go. Looks like two more guards and then the captain.
Is someone there?
Since an aerial attack doesn't really seem feasible at this point, I'm going to do a bit of looting and then bring down the captain. This is available, so let's grab it. IAOP Cycle 52.103. Report from the Genetic Splicing Facility. Cycle 52.103. Test subjects fail to metabolize genetic modifiers through nutrients. Cycle 52.104. The test subject lost rehabilitation and replacement to proceed. Cycle 53.115. The test subjects responding well to certain DNA combinations. Cycle 53.201. Test subjects hostile. Security systems compromised. One subject missing. Cycle 54.101. Genetic splicing facility terminated on the orders of Dikastis Vasilevs. All records to be destroyed. Interesting. Seems like their experiments are not really going to plan. Here we go. An adamant ingot. Captain's a little close to that statue, so I'm not going to go for it yet. Grab this treasure, draw him off to the side, and try to bring him down.
Something's going on. I was worried for
Ow. Did not actually need to pick him up. There we go. Scan the data cache. And then take out the torch. Oh, and I still need to find the Keeper's Insight. That torch wasn't even an objective. Well, let's keep looking then. Here we go. Wrath of Ares. Wonderful. Insight of War is completed, and I'll be back at the next location. Insight of the Titan. And we've got basically the same objectives here.
I should be careful. High security
I
here.
need to find who's doing that. There's nothing here.
Rats. There we go.
I'd better see what that was.
boy. That got a little dicey. Adamant ingots. Adamant is the precious metal at the core of every piece of Eden. In the form of ingots, these refined bars can be used in the Forge of Atlantis to create legendary weapons. Several adamant ingots are kept under high security in the Atlantean archives. Not sure why it didn't give me that information when I grabbed the other one, but at least we have it now. Three guards left. None of whom is the captain, which is strange though.
Oh, that was a strange sound. Huh.
Alright, let's grab the data cache. Then scan the codex.
I can almost hear my staff's thoughts. I wonder if it can hear mine.
And we're now at level 2 knowledge sequence. IAOP cycle 40.238. Report from the Solar Dynamics Observatory of Atlantis. Cycle 40.238. Unusual electromagnetic activity detected on the sun's photosphere. Cycle 41.267. Sudden appearance of small dark spots scattered across the sun's surface. Cycle 42.149. Sunspots have increased in size and are gravitating toward each other. Cycle 43.331. Sunspot trajectory projections indicate imminent cluster formations. Cycle 44.160. Proximity of magnetically charged sunspots will result in coronal loops, reconnection events, and plasma release to occur within the next 300 to 500 cycles. I think that's speaking of the basically the end of the world. Here's the captain. Out.
You're weak and ugly. Yeah!
Don't particularly like this battlefield. Okay, there we go. Kronos' punishment. And Insight of the Titan is completed. And there's one more to grab. Final insight is the Insight of Blessings. And you know the drill.
I should watch my step around here.
Oh, statues upstairs here.
Probably just a bird, but I'll check. Huh?
Grab the ingot. Oh, hello. Whoops. Found the captain.
What the?
We'll take it.
Where's that coming from? What? Oh.
Hopefully that's everyone. Got the data cache. Scan the codex. IAOP cycle 44.160. Report from the embassies of Atlantis. Cycle 44.160. After presenting the Solar Dynamics Observatory's predictions on plasma release at the summit of the three sister realms, Hermes, Persephone's High Scientist, and Engineer stormed off Tension between the sister realms is high, but of all Persephone's retinue, surely Hermes would listen to reason. Our delegation was left appealing to Hades himself. The Mad King seemed almost pleased at the thought of annihilation. So we're left with one king lusting for carnage, a queen who accepts no truth but her own, and the Trident King who locks himself away in his tower. It would seem solar instability is the least of our worries. Alright. Moving towards Cataclysm. Let's grab the insight and get out of here. We have the Blessing of Kronos. And a complete education is completed. And the location is completed as well. After looking at the map, I saw a new quest at the Forge of Atlantis called Fire Amid the Water. Atlantis was home to a unique metal known as adamant ingot, which could be used to forge the strongest weaponry known to human and Isu alike. If enough adamant was found, who knows the power Alexios could hold in his own hands. And we need to craft a legendary weapon at the Forge of Atlantis. We already know where it is, so let's track the quest and make our way in. And there are 3 markers in here. Interesting. Am I gonna make something with each ingot I've got? Or do I have to place 1 ingot in each of the smelters, I guess? Is that what these would be called? The Forge of Atlantis. The Isu kept the molds for Hephaestus' last great weapons deep in Atlantis. Collect enough adamant ingots, interact with a mold, forge your weapon for a hunter, warrior, or assassin playstyle. Each weapon can only be crafted once, so choose wisely. Interesting. So that looks like a halberd, a staff, and a dagger, or a sword. So I'm going to start with this one because I've always used a sword, basically.
Access granted. Initiating Forge Protocol. Select preferred weapon configuration.
Assassin weapon. Takes all 3 of them, okay.
Modification approved. Adding assassin module.
We have the Isu Forged Assassin's Blade. And we need to retrieve more adamant ingots to craft other legendary weapons. That was a little underwhelming, but got a very interesting weapon now. I'm going to take another look at the map and find the next quest I want to do. You know, we've got knowledge sequence 2, so let's head over here and clear out this level 1 location, and then maybe we'll stop by these other 2 spots, empty out the archives. So it turns out I'm not crazy. Number 1, was not in that location. It was at the Doma of Elasticos, which I thought I had already cleared. So I believe this is what I've been looking for.
How did I not see the world like this before? It's all so clear to me now. Like I'm seeing with new eyes.
I've completed Wisdom of the Ancients and gotten the third knowledge sequence. And here is the failed experiment 1 of 4, Assistant to Aita, Cycle 16.11. I'm writing down all that transpired, lest it be forgotten. I've given the full report to Aita. Looking back, I may carry some of the blame, but it only came to pass because of him. Not long ago, Aita showed me an underground area I have never knew existed. As he opened the hidden entrance, what first struck me was the stench. It spewed from the enclosure, and even in the fresh air it overwhelmed me. As we descended and my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I saw one larger room and 8 smaller ones, all completely enclosed and separate. Aita showed me that within each was a human, 4 male, 4 female. They had spent their entire lives here. He explained that the only way to perform his tests was to have specimens who know nothing of the outside world. They would ultimately and suddenly be shown all they never knew existed. I respected the foresight required for such an experiment, but I now see how it was flawed. The other 3 plaques are in the archive of Hephaestus, and I'll cut them together so that they are read in order. I'm at the archive of Hephaestus, and it seems pretty similar to those Keeper's Insights. So I'm going to make my way in, clear out the guards, grab a couple of items from inside. Since I'm up here all alone, of course, as I say that, the failed experiment 2 of 4, Assistant to Aita, Cycle 16.11. Aita introduced me to one specimen he deemed ready to be shown the outside world. His name was Otis. Though he stood taller than me, his mind was that of a child's. As we opened his door, he backed away from us like a frightened animal. Whether it was out of fear or uncertainty, I wasn't sure at the time. I now know it was out of fear, and it was justified. Aita asked me to purchase adamant from a merchant and to take Otis, who would both observe and be observed. As we stepped outside, Aita departed, and I began my study of the man in front of me. If he was overwhelmed, he showed no trace of it. Perhaps he simply couldn't understand all he was seeing. I asked him questions, but got no response. At the time, I wasn't sure if he understood language at all. Aita had told me very little about him, and I came to wonder if I was being tested as well. No matter the questions I had about Otis, I gained all the answers before long, including one I never asked for, and one I wish I had never received. Okay. It's pretty ominous. The failed experiment 3 of 4. Assistant to Aita, Cycle 16.11. I heard Otis's voice for the first time on the way to the adamant merchant. It was quiet and unsure, and I wondered how often he'd used it. By the time we reached the market, he seemed almost at ease. Unfortunately, his lack of interaction with others became abundantly clear when he insulted the merchant to his face. Having never been dealt a consequence, it was a lesson the merchant taught him quickly. Before I knew it, Otis was bleeding profusely from his nose, but thankfully the merchant stopped after the first punch. Looking back on it now, I see how much damage that one punch truly did. Otis was curious about why he was attacked, and after my explanation, he told me this was not the first time he had been hit. Apparently, Aita would let him and the 7 other experiments out into the large open room. Otis often ended up bruised and bloodied from those moments of freedom. He expressed his interest in understanding violence and its uses, so I decided to take him to the arena. This mistake would nearly cost me my life. Whoops. Is he gonna let me? Doesn't look like it. Okay, Archive of Hephaestus is complete. I think there's one more codex, yes, over here. The Failed Experiment, 4 of 4. Assistant to Aita, Cycle 16.11. As Otis and I left the arena, he was no longer Aita's quiet specimen. He had changed, and almost too quickly. He was energized by what he saw and plagued me with questions about violence. He wanted to know when it was appropriate and why it was necessary, and what he had done to make the others hit him. I did my best to answer, but he jumped from question to question, hardly giving me enough time to respond. He said again and again how strong he wanted to feel, so that no one would ever hurt him again, that he knew now what he had to do. I led him back to the underground entrance, but he began to protest, shouting no, what must have been 100 times. I awoke long after the sun had gone down, sore and bloodied at the bottom of the stairs. In the main room was a scene I wouldn't soon forget. 7 twisted and mangled bodies were strewn across the floor, most of them hardly recognizable, though the beatings their faces took streaks of blood led from every room to the middle of the floor. Otis had dragged each experiment out from their cage, and one by one, after he'd killed them, then he fled, of course, and I assume he only left me because he thought I died like the rest of them. Aita was furious when I told him what Otis had done, but he can only blame himself. Aita will never see his own faults. In fact, he'll simply start from the beginning and try again. Here's where I'm going to end episode 103. Thank you for watching, and I hope you join me for the next one. Thanks for watching. If you have any feedback, please leave a comment, and remember to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content.